My wife cheated on me with her boss and stole $150, $0 from our joint account to buy a house with him. Now she's claiming I'm abusive and trying to take everything, including the family home worth $600, $0. Hello everyone. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now, let's begin the video. Using a throwaway for obvious reasons, with certain specifics modified to preserve anonymity. I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here I am. You'd think that after 10 years of marriage I'd have seen everything, but apparently not. The craziest thing happened last month, and it's like my whole world just flipped upside down overnight. It started with small signs, little things that didn't add up. Then suddenly, I uncovered something that changed everything. And trust me, it was more than I could handle. My wife had always been a bit high maintenance, but I thought that was just her personality. She's a sharp dresser, always on top of her appearance, and she's pretty good at hiding her true colors. We've got a nice house in the suburbs, decent jobs, and 2 kids. From the outside, it looked perfect. But as the months went on, I started noticing her phone was glued to her hand more than usual. She'd take calls in the bathroom, lock her screens, and lie about where she was going if I asked. At first, I brushed it off, thinking maybe she was just stressed or dealing with work stuff. Then came the late nights. She'd come home smelling like perfume I didn't recognize, and her excuses, oh, I met a client for drinks, or just a work thing started sounding thin. She'd get defensive whenever I asked questions, snapping at me, acting bitchy for no reason. Honestly, I thought maybe she was just tired or under pressure, but deep down I felt something was wrong. I couldn't shake this weird feeling of unease. One night I decided to check her phone when she went to bed early. I didn't want to invade her privacy, but I was just desperate to know what was going on. That's when I saw the message thread. It was from her boss, Mark. The text started out professional, but then they turned flirty. They were talking about meetings, but more about how she looked in her new dress, and there were some pretty suggestive comments. My stomach sank. I could feel my chest tighten. I couldn't believe what I was reading. My wife, the woman I loved, was cheating on me with her boss, and it looked like it had been going on for months. Then I saw the worst part. She had stolen $150, $0 from our joint account. I don't even know how she pulled it off, but somehow she managed to buy a house with Mark using our money. I found out she'd been planning to leave me to start fresh with him. The house was worth over $500,000, and she was planning to take everything, our home, our savings, everything. I sat there in shock, my mind racing. I felt betrayed, furious, and crushed all at once. I never imagined my wife would do something like this. I thought we had a good life, that we were solid. Turns out she was just pretending. She'd been lying to me every day, hiding her affair, stealing from us, and planning to run away with her boss. It's like I was living in some nightmare I couldn't wake up. From that night I confronted her. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I told her I knew everything about the affair, the money, the house. She everything at first tried to gaslight me, said I was paranoid, that she loved me, and that I was just jealous. She called me controlling, said I was abusive because I raised my voice. But I wasn't about to let her spin this. I had proof. I showed her the messages, the bank statements, everything. Her reaction, she flipped. Started crying, screaming that I was ruining her life, that I was abusive, that I was trying to keep her from her happiness. She said I was jealous and possessive and that I didn't deserve her. I couldn't even look at her. I felt like I was losing my mind. How could she lie so easily? How could she betray me like this? All those years, all the memories, just evaporated in one night. I never thought I'd be the guy dealing with a wife who cheats and steals, but here I am. After that night, everything changed. The house felt colder, emptier, like the walls were closing in on me. I couldn't sleep, could eat. I kept replaying everything in my head. The signs I missed, the moments I dismissed, the trust I had in her that now felt shattered beyond repair. I started to dig deeper, trying to understand how she managed to pull off the theft and the affair without me noticing sooner. It was clear she'd been planning this for months, maybe even longer. I contacted a lawyer the next day. I needed to know my options, especially about the house and the money. The lawyer, John, was calm, professional, and straightforward. He looked over the bank statements, the messages, the evidence I had. His face was serious when he told me that it had taken the $150, $0 from our joint account, and she was using it to buy a house with Mark. I couldn't believe it. That money was supposed to go towards our children's college fund, our retirement, our security. Instead, it was being used to finance her new life with her boss. Meanwhile, kept up the act, pretending to be the victim. She claimed I was abusive, that I was controlling and paranoid. She even went as far as telling her friends I was hitting her, something I would never do. It was all lies, and I knew she was trying to turn the tables on me. That's what she does. She's manipulative, bitchy, and good at twisting things to her advantage, but I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I had proof, and I was ready to fight. I decided I needed to gather everything: texts, bank records, witnesses. I started documenting her lies, her calls with Mark, the withdrawals from our account. It was like building a case against her. I also reached out to her boss, Mark, directly. I wanted to hear his side, but I knew I was walking into a trap. Still, I needed to understand what kind of person I was dealing with. Turns out, Mark was a smooth operator, charming, confident, and a complete asshole. He had no remorse, no shame, just a cold arrogance that made me sick. Over the next few days, I felt like I was living in a nightmare. My wife was still trying to gaslight me, calling me abusive, saying I was ruining her reputation. She even accused me of hitting her once, which is ridiculous. I never raised my hand to her, not ever. But she's good at lying, and her words sounded convincing to some of her friends. I could see the damage she was trying to do, trying to turn everyone against me, but I refused to back down. The emotional toll was enormous. I felt angry, betrayed, humiliated. I was furious at her for cheating, stealing, and lying. But I also felt a deep sadness, like I lost the woman I thought I knew, the woman I loved. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I didn't see that she was capable of this. Was I blind? Was I just too trusting? It hurt more than I can say. Despite all the chaos, I knew one thing: I had to protect myself and my children. I couldn't let her steal everything: our house, our savings, our future. I made the decision to file for divorce. I wanted to keep the house for the kids, and I wanted to recover what I could of the stolen money. I also wanted her out of my life for good. No more lies, no more betrayal. I couldn't trust her anymore, not after everything I found out. That's where I stand now, still trying to piece my life back together, still angry and hurt, but also determined. I want to make sure she doesn't get away with this, that she pays for what she's done. But I also want to move forward, rebuild, and find some kind of peace. It's hard, but I know I'm not the only one who's gone through something like this. If anyone has advice or just wants to hear how I'm holding up, I'm here. The legal process has been I've never had to go through anything like this before, and honestly, it's a nightmare. Is playing the victim at every turn, claiming I'm abusive and manipulative, trying to spin it so that everyone believes she's the wronged wife. She's hired her own lawyer, and I'm doing the same. The fight over the house, the money, and custody of the kids has turned into a full-blown battle. From the beginning, I knew I had to be strategic. I gathered every piece of evidence I could: text messages, bank statements, emails, even recordings of her calls. I also hired a private investigator to see if I could find out more about her dealings with Mark. Turns out they'd been planning the house for months. She had even gone behind my back to get a loan on the property, using our joint assets as collateral. I couldn't believe how deep she'd gone. It was like she'd completely turned into a different person, all for this affair and her new life with Mark. One of the worst moments was when I found out she'd hidden some of the money in a separate account. She opened it under a fake name and was transferring funds little by little. I'm not stupid. She thought she could get away with it, but I had my lawyer dig into it. She was basically trying to siphon off our savings to finance her escape. It's infuriating because she's always been so money-driven, always obsessed with appearances, and now she's willing to ruin everything we built just to get what she wants. Meanwhile, she's still lying to everyone, claiming I'm the abusive one. She's told her friends I hit her once, another lie, just to make herself look innocent. She's good at twisting the story, making me out to be the villain. But I have witnesses, and I have the proof. I've been documenting everything and I made sure my lawyer has all of it. I want the court to see the truth that she betrayed me, stole from us, and is now trying to destroy me legally. The emotional toll is heavy. I feel like I'm constantly on edge, waiting for the next blow. Every day is a fight to keep my sanity. I get angry, then sad, then numb. I look at the house, our memories, and I wonder how it all went so wrong. I trusted her. I believed she loved me, but it was all a lie. Her bitchy attitude, her lies, her manipulations, they all add up to a person I barely recognize anymore. Sometimes I wonder if I was blind or just too naive to see the signs. I've been trying to stay focused on the future, but it's hard. Every time I think I've figured out my next move, something else comes up. Another lie, another betrayal. The worst part is knowing she's trying to turn the kids against me. She's told them I'm abusive, that I don't love them, just to sway their opinions. That's what makes this so hard. I love those kids more than anything, and I hate that she's using them as pawns. In her game, I've decided I'm not going to let her take everything without a fight. I want the house for the kids, and I want to recover as much of the stolen money as possible. I've even started looking into financial fraud options because I believe she's been laundering some of the money. I want her held accountable, not just for the affair but for the betrayal of our life together. Moving forward, I know I need to focus on healing, but right now, it feels impossible. The betrayal runs so deep, and every day I wake up feeling more betrayed and more determined to get justice. I want to rebuild my life, but I also want her to face the consequences of what she's done. I guess I'm just trying to survive this storm and come out the other side with some shred of dignity left. The court hearings are in full swing now, and each session feels like stepping into a battlefield. Continues to lie and spin stories, claiming I've been abusive and that I'm trying to ruin her reputation. She's hired a high-powered lawyer who's good at playing dirty, and I've had to do the same. It's exhausting. Every piece of evidence I present seems to be met with more accusations, more false claims. Honestly, it's like she's more interested in destroying me legally than actually fixing our broken family. One of the hardest parts is seeing how she's trying to manipulate the court and everyone around her. She's always crying, acting like the victim, claiming I hit her once during a heated argument, which is a complete lie. I've never laid a hand on her, but she knows how to play the victim card better than anyone. She's good at making people feel sorry for her, even when I have proof of her lies. It's infuriating. I sit there in court, feeling helpless and furious, knowing she's doing everything she can to take everything from me. I've also been working closely with my lawyer to track down the stolen money. We've hired forensic accountants to dig through her accounts and trace the transactions. Turns out she's been funneling money into a series of shell companies, trying to hide her tracks. It's a tangled web, but we're making progress. Hopefully, we can recover some of what she's taken, though I know she's done her best to make sure I get nothing. She's been trying to claim I'm an abusive, controlling husband who doesn't deserve anything. The truth is, I've always been there for her, and now I feel like I'm fighting to even keep what's rightfully mine. Meanwhile, she's still insisting she's the victim. She calls me every name in the book, accuses me of all kinds of horrible things, and tries to turn the kids against me. She's told them I'm dangerous, that I hurt her, that I don't love them. It's heartbreaking because I know she's lying. I see the look in my kids' eyes sometimes. They're confused, scared, trying to understand what's happening. It's the worst feeling in the world to know she's using her own children to manipulate the situation. I've also started to realize how much her lies have affected me emotionally. I've been diagnosed with anxiety and stress-related issues. I never thought I'd need therapy, but I've realized I can't go through this alone. I've started seeing a counselor to help me process everything: her betrayal, the legal fight, the heartbreak. It's helping to have someone to talk to who's outside this mess. Sometimes I just sit and wonder how I got here. How someone I loved and trusted could turn into such a liar and manipulator. It's a lot to handle, and some days I feel like I'm barely holding on. Despite all this chaos, I've made a decision. I'm not going to let her win. I want the house for my kids, and I want to hold her accountable for everything she's done. I've come to realize that revenge isn't just about getting back at her. It's about making sure she can't just walk away with everything she stole and lied about. I want her to face the consequences, to be held responsible for her actions. I've been keeping detailed records of everything, proof of the affair, the stolen money, her lies in court. I refuse to be silenced or pushed around anymore. I know it's going to be a long fight, and I still have days where I feel overwhelmed. But I've also found a new sense of strength. I'm learning to stand up for myself, to fight for what's right, and to protect my children from her manipulation. The betrayal cuts deep, but I'm slowly rebuilding my resolve. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know I let her ruin me completely. I've got a lot of work ahead, but I'm determined to come out of this stronger than I was before. The legal battle is dragging on, and every day feels like a new punch to the gut. Is relentless in her efforts to paint me as the villain. She's hired a team of attorneys who specialize in emotional abuse and domestic violence, trying to spin the court's perception of me. She's also pushing hard to gain full custody of the kids, claiming I'm unstable and dangerous. It's all part of her twisted game to keep the spotlight off her and to squeeze every ounce of advantage she can. I've been doing everything I can to counter her lies. I've gathered character witnesses, friends, neighbors, even my boss, people who can vouch that I've always been a good father and a decent husband. I've also hired my own private investigator to keep tabs on her, just to make sure she's not up to anything else. Turns out, she's been meeting with Mark even more secretly, trying to finalize the sale of the house without my knowledge. She's been sneaking around, planning her escape, and I've got the evidence to prove it. One of the most surprising things I found out recently is that she's been trying to claim the house as her sole property, citing some false legal reasoning that she's the primary caregiver or that I've been abusive. She's even trying to get the court to freeze our joint accounts so I can't access any money. It's a classic move, trying to strip me of everything so she can walk away unscathed. But I've already filed a counter motion, and my lawyer is pushing back hard. Emotionally, I'm exhausted. I feel like I'm fighting a war on all fronts: legal, emotional, financial. There are moments I feel hopeless, like I'll never get her to face the reality of what she's done. Every time I think I've got a handle on things, she pulls another stunt, another lie, another attempt to manipulate the system. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night feeling like I can't breathe, overwhelmed by everything. But I also know I can't give up. Not now, not ever. The hardest part has been watching her manipulate the kids. She's been telling them that I'm a monster, that I'm abusive, and that I don't care about them. She's trying to turn them against me, and it's working a little. I see the confusion in their eyes. I try to be there for them, to reassure them that I love them and that their mother is just upset right now. But it hurts so much. I never wanted them to see their family torn apart like this. I just want to protect them from her lies. Through all of this, I've been leaning on my support system, my parents, a couple of close friends who know the truth, and my counselor. They've been my anchors. I've also been trying to stay disciplined with my work, keep my head clear, and focus on what really matters: my kids and my integrity. I've learned a lot about myself, about how betrayal can shake you to your core, but also how resilient you can be when you refuse to give up. I've come to accept that she's not the person I thought she was. That's the hardest part, coming to terms with the fact that the woman I married and loved has been hiding a completely different life. Still, I refuse to let her take everything. I want the house for my children's stability, and I want her held accountable for the theft and the lies. I know I'll have to keep fighting, but I've also realized that I'm stronger than I thought. No matter how much she tries to destroy me, I will stand tall and do what's right, for my kids, for myself, and for the truth. In the end, after months of legal battles, lies, and emotional exhaustion, I managed to come out the other side with a clearer sense of what's real and what's not. The court finally ordered her to pay back a significant portion of the stolen money, and she was granted only limited custody of the kids, with supervised visitation. The house stayed in my name, and I was awarded a fair share of the assets, despite her desperate attempts to manipulate the system. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough to give me a fresh start. Looking back, I realized just how much I underestimated her. I thought I knew my wife, but underneath it all, she was someone I didn't recognize. A liar, a manipulator, someone capable of betrayal on a level I never imagined. The betrayal cut deep, but it also forced me to grow stronger. I learned that trust is fragile and that sometimes you have to fight tooth and nail to protect what's yours. I also learned how important it is to listen to your gut, to be vigilant, and to never ignore the small signs that something's wrong. The process of healing is ongoing, but I've started rebuilding my life. I've become more cautious, more aware, and more determined to protect my peace. I've cut out toxic people, including her, and I've focused on my children's well-being. They're adjusting, and I'm doing everything I can to give them stability and love, something she tried to destroy with her lies. This experience has taught me a hard lesson about the true nature of people and the importance of standing up for yourself. No matter how much someone pretends to be perfect, the truth will eventually come out if you're willing to look for it. I want anyone going through something similar to know that you're not alone. It's okay to feel broken, to feel angry, or to question everything. But don't let it define you. Stand firm, gather your strength, and fight for what's right. I've found peace in knowing I did everything I could, and I refuse to be a victim of her manipulations anymore. Life is messy, and sometimes people surprise you in the worst ways. But in the end, I've realized that the only person responsible for my happiness is me. Moving forward, I'll be more cautious, more resilient, and more committed to living honestly. Because honestly, what she did to me was terrible. Yet it also opened my eyes to what truly matters: integrity, family, and the courage to start over.